Hello. Hey, it's Beauthemechanic. Guess what we're doing today? I got a new car. You know, traditional to my personality, I have like 16 cars. Why would you not? It's America. Fuck yeah. So I got another one. I got a 2004 Land Rover Discovery 2. And a lot of people hate them. A lot of people think they're pieces of shit. They seem pretty nice to me. I don't know. They have a bunch of stupid issues like it's made in Britain, you know, so everything's a little bit different. They make everything a little bit different. They blow head gaskets a lot, and they have a lot of problems with the wheel bearings and a lot of problems with the ABS systems. But anyway, I happened to get this 2004 Land Rover Discovery, like I said, and I got it for cheap, $2 grand. It didn't have any power steering. The pump was blown out of it. It was running on like 7 cylinders, spark plug wires, and the wheel bearings were blown. So I've already replaced the stupid stuff to get it driving. I already replaced the power steering pump. I probably should have made a video for you guys, but I was busy. So I replaced the power steering pump. I put new plug wires in it and plugs, and I've got it running. But the wheel bearings have been an issue. So I replaced one of the wheel bearings already, and now I've got another wheel bearing to do. I just ordered in, and they are expensive. That's probably why everybody hates them. Those damn wheel bearings are like $300. But if you've got a Discovery and you want to try and save a little bit of cash yourself, then hopefully I can help you. So let's take a look at what we got here. Hola! How about that? It's an alright looking car. I've already got it jacked up a little bit. I got ahead of myself, but as you can see, man, these things kind of suck, dude, to put spark plugs on. Spark plugs and wires, they're kind of... The plug wires run into the back of the motor, so that was just an endeavor. But this thing's got 130,000 miles. It's a pretty good looking car. It's pretty straight body. The interior on them is pretty cool. How about that? It's already been junked out by me. But, you know, they're pretty cool. It's actually got like the 4-wheel drive, locker, whatever assembly on it. This is just something really common that goes wrong though, these wheel bearings. So anyway, let's fast forward, okay? So, you know, pretty nice car. I'm gonna put a couple bucks in it, hopefully drive it for a couple years. Let's check and see how bad the wheel bearing is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one hand down there and one hand at the top up here, and I'm gonna wiggle it back and forth. You know, pressing this way and pulling with my bottom hand. I'm gonna check it for any type of wobble. If it has any wobble at all, like this, then that means that I've got something going on with these wheel bearings. So let's take a look. Hope you can see. See, it's got plenty of play. I can wiggle it a good 1/8 inch or so. I hope you could see that. I doubt you could. I don't have a cameraman, you know. So anyway, that's the 1/8 inch wobble. So now I'm gonna yank this tire off and I'm gonna have to go ahead and replace it. Let me show you the bearing that I got though. And this is why they cost so much. Oh, here you go. Whole bearing hub assembly, and nobody has these. I don't know why. None of the big part stores have them. Probably because they're Land Rover and they're British. So you have to order them from someplace offline, like Rover Parts Farm or British Atlantic. But so that's what you got right there. It's a whole assembly, and it has the ABS sensor already in it there, as you can see, and the wire's just wrapped around it. What happens a lot of times too, man, is these things have the 3 amigos. And if you have one of these and the 3 amigos is going on, if you've got one of these and you have your 3 amigo lights, first thing you want to check, dude, is your wheel bearings, because if the wheel bearing starts to screw up, the ABS sensor inside there, it just sees it thinks the wheel is doing something weird, sliding or skipping or whatever. So, you know, when you get one and you have the 3 amigos, the first thing you want to try and check, the 3 amigos, I mean all 3 lights, the hill descent, the ABS, and the traction control. If all 3 of those are lit up, like on this car they are, check your wheel bearings. Jack it up, shake the tires like I just told you, go all the way around it. So both front wheel bearings on this car were toasted, and I haven't even checked the back ones. Hopefully they'll be all right, but we'll see. So anyway, like I said, so ABS, hill descent, traction control, could be your wheel bearings. Check those first, and then start going down the long laundry list. So I got this right here. There's the part that's getting installed. Showed you how to check the bearing itself. I'm gonna go ahead and yank the wheel off and show you what comes off next. Here's we go. Okay, so here we are, we have it off. Cool, I told you I'd take the wheel off. Wheel's off. What needs to come off now? Okay, well, this caliper is gonna have to come off. This caliper bracket is gonna have to come off. This rotor has to come off. And once we get all that off, we'll take a reassessment. Well, as you can see, I got the car supported on a jack stand because they will fucking crush you if you're stupid. So jack stands for sure. Then I got a secondary. That jack is underneath there. All the load's on that jack, but that's a secondary safety, so it won't crush me because I like myself. So here we go. Like I said, I'm gonna yank this caliper off. As you can see, hopefully, right here is a bolt. I think it's a 12 millimeter, 13 millimeter. I think it's a 12. So you got two bolts, one here and one on the bottom side, right there. Oh, if I can get to it with my small hands. There you go. So you got those two bolts right there. Bam. Take both those off. This caliper can be wiggled off. Sometimes you have to shove a screwdriver in here and pry it like that to pry this thing up and out. And then just support it somewhere back there. You can take a wire or whatever and just whatever you want to do with it. Just get it the heck out of the way. So we'll do that, take the brake pads off, and then I'll show you how to get this caliper bracket off. What's up? Still here. Check it out. Got your caliper off with those two 12 millimeter bolts I told you. Right char and right char. And what you want to check for sure is these pins that my hand is touching now, that they slide in and out. Because that caliper, as the brakes wear, it slides in and out on them. And so a lot of times what you see is these caliper pins right here will be rusted. They'll make a bunch of noise. Your brakes wear funny. One side wears out faster than the other. All types of stupid shit. So you do the same thing with this one. You can pull it. It's good. They both got grease in them. Okay, so the next thing we need to take off is this caliper bracket, they call it. Caliper bracket. And it's held down there with 19 millimeter. It's these two bolts right here. Here's one. Here's one. You can kind of see it hitting up underneath here. Hopefully. There's one. There's one. 19 millimeter, and it's a 12 point, because that's a 12 point socket, 12 point bolt. And they are a bitch to get off. So they're usually on there pretty well. They've been on the car for a long time. And the top one here is held in by the ABS sensor. There's a bracket also connected to it, so you kind of got to bend it up and pull this crap out of the way. That wire will come off and you just bend it out of the way. Once you get that caliper bracket off, the next pain in the ass is going to be this set screw. This is a Phillips head set screw, and the rotor, it looks like it's all one piece with this, but it's not. This thing is a hub assembly down here that we're going to be replacing. This top piece right here, we're not, okay? So it's the rotor, so it's gonna come off, and it actually, you can kinda see they're different. This piece and this piece are different. So this, to keep your brakes quiet, some companies do this, I don't know why. It's really not a good idea, but they use this fucking set screw, okay? It's a Phillips head, it pushes the rotor up against the hub assembly, and it tries to keep it centered while you mount the tire or whatever, and it keeps it kind of from wobbling around. I don't really understand the point. Once the tire's bolted to it, it's not really going to go anywhere. It's sandwiched between the two. But they put this fucking set screw on there. So how are you going to get it off is the problem. These things rust on there, and they are a fucking bitch. A Phillips head is not a very good screw to begin with. As you can see, this one I've already gotten free, but I have this handy dandy. This is called an impact screwdriver. And what happens with this impact screwdriver is if you hammer it one way, it'll loosen. And if you hammer it the other way, it's going to tighten. And so that's what it looks like, okay? So you would put it on here, you kind of press against it a little bit, and then you use this hammer, and you hammer the end of this impact screwdriver as such, okay? And these are badass. You can find them a bunch of places, and you can order them online, but this is almost imperative to have. Definitely try it. You know, you can try and see if you can get it off without it. And if you're really lucky, somebody greased this and put a little bit of grease on it so it wouldn't set in there and rust. And as you can see with this one, they didn't. So I had to absolutely beat the crap out of it with that impact driver. And now it's loose, but like I said, they're really shitty. I've done a bunch of them. I bought this one at Harbor Freight for like $6. I buy them all the time. They break, they go bad. That one was like $6. But as you can see, the screw is just, the Phillips head is just totally wallered out. And you can see the rust that's on the screw. There's just so much rust on there, and that's why it won't come off. So, say thank you to Land Rover for such an awesome design made in Britain. Anyway, so now that set screw's off of here, we're gonna take this caliper bracket off, and I'm gonna take the rotor off. This would be the same too if you're trying to do brakes and rotors. If you wanted to replace the brakes and rotors in this Land Rover, you'd have to do all this anyway. You have to take the caliper bracket off, hammer this rotor off here in just a second. I'll show you. You just tap it off, and then you'd replace the rotor and the pads, and you would be ready to rock and roll. But either way, so here I go. I'm going to pop this off with that 12.19 millimeter I told you about. So there you can see it's off. It's off, and back here is where the bolts would go. Right there's a hole, and right there's a hole. There's that 12 point that I told you about. This is the weird 12-point bolt. It looks a little weird. Don't get freaked out. Now, the rotor's on there. It doesn't want to come off. See, I'm pulling on it really hard. What do? Don't freak out. Just take your hammer and hit it. And you can see it's wobbled its way free now. See, the hub is still there, but the rotor isn't, see? So I'm going to take this rotor off if I can. Sweet! Now you can see what we're working with. I got the rotor off. And people will say, you hit it with a hammer. Yeah, no shit, I hit it with a hammer, okay? As you can see, I beat the shit out of it with a hammer just now, and you just get some small dings in it. If your rotor is not really thin, you're not going to really have a problem. Yes, there's some dings in there. I don't really care. Anyway, now, here's the hub. This is what needs to be replaced. Here's our new one. They look very similar, do they not? One's really shitty, one's not. Okay, and as you can see, that thing's splined, which means it has little cuts in it. See there? Now your axle shaft runs through that, and that's what propels the tire. That's what actually makes this tire spin, because that hub has that splines in it. There's your ABS sensor that a lot of people talk about going bad. Chances of it going bad, unless the hub goes bad, are pretty slim. So don't waste any money trying to buy an ABS sensor for 60 bucks. You know, it could be that, but you're probably like this. It's not really going to fix it if you just replace it. It's just a cast wheel bearing. Anyway, so now what do? To get this thing off, we're going to take these bolts right here free. There's a bolt right here. 1, 2, and there's one there. 3, and on the other side 4. 4 bolts, just like you can see right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 14 millimeter. So grab a 14 millimeter. You got to come from the back side right in here and take them free. 1, 2, 3, 4. You unthread all those, and before you do that, what I'm going to do is take this large nut. This is your axle shaft right here. That's it right here, and it runs straight through this assembly here. This is a, what, 32 millimeter? Yeah, 32 millimeter. 32 millimeter, I'm going to impact it off because obviously it's been rusted on there. But as you can see, this has got a castle nut on it. It looks like a castle nut or whatever you call it, axle shaft nut. It's actually been hammered down to keep it from backing off, okay? So I'm going to have to get like a punch, and I'm going to punch up in the air to remove the pressure so it can unthread without fucking the threads up all the hell. So I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver or a little punch, I'm going to punch it up, impact it off, and then take all those 14 millimeter bolts free, and then I'll show you the next step. Ah, still here. Amazing. Check it. Got it all apart like I told you. I got my 4 bolts off, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom, blah, blah, blah. Now I gotta get this hub off. I took the bolt off for the axle shaft right there, like I told you I was gonna do. Now, what's this thing that I have on here, this special apparatus? It's not a special apparatus. This is just a 3-way puller. It's called a 3-jaw puller. It's got 3 pieces on it. They sell 2-piece pullers. They're worthless. They're good for some applications, but you know, for most applications, it's 3 things what you want. They sell these everywhere. Got it at Harbor Freight for like $5 or something, maybe less. I'm gonna use this just because I have it. You don't have to though. As you can see, I've already got it. You can see that little bit of space. I did that just with a hammer, you know. So if you take a hammer like that one and you just beat around it, you know, you're not gonna damage this because it's old and already fucked. So don't worry about it, just hammer around it. You can spin the hub a little bit and you can get it this way. You can also take the shield off, which is pretty cool. Land Rover puts bolts on the shield here, so you can take the shield off so you can really get a hammer in there and hit the crap out of it to change the hub. I told you guys wrong too. These big long bolts that run through there to hold the hub in, they're not 14 millimeters. They're actually, what size? 5/8, I believe. 15, they're 15 millimeters. Yeah, it's a 15 millimeter socket. So I took this free with a 15 millimeter socket. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna use this jaw puller just because I've got it, and I'm gonna pull this thing out, and then we'll be ready to put it back together. Cool. I pressed it off just like I said. You could have used a hammer though. Last thing left to do is see this ABS insert runs right through here, and then it runs right there up along the frame wall, on the brake line, all the way up to the little plug-in. So what do? How do we get that part free? Well, you just go like this. You just grab each one and start pulling it out like that. There it goes. And there's another one right there. And then right up here, it goes through, I don't even know if you can see it, but it goes through the fender, right through the firewall in the fender. It goes up here to the top of the car. Let me get a little flashlight. Right to the top of the car. As you can see right there, that little plug thing. And it goes right there. You can see it, it's that weird looking orange thing on the bottom below the, right there that the light's on. So that thing right there you're gonna have to unplug, and that's where this vehicle ABS sensor plug will plug in. This is it just plugs in there. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I gotta pull all that free and then try and put this back in. Getting to see my beautiful face. So, now you know how to change your Land Rover wheel bearing. It's pretty simple. Putting it back together is just like I showed you, it's just reverse. So then hopefully you can get to the root source of your three amigos. Anyway, if you have any questions, ask me. Ciao!